Well, Lewis, it's frustrating for your fans. It must be frustrating for you, the way these penalties sort of keep mounting up. How do you reflect on today? And is there any regret that you took the pit stop, that final one?
Yeah, I definitely don't think we should have taken the stop. But the call came literally just before the pit lane entry, and I didn't have time to debate. And you've got to trust that there's the decision that's been taken. But in hindsight, my tyres were totally fine. I was probably going to lose out to Max, but I think I could have kept third at least. And then, just open up the door to obviously the penalty that got needed.
The bigger picture, the way
Lewis Hamilton was fast enough to start second in Hungary. Ferrari had the pace to fight for the podium, and then one decision destroyed the entire race before it even began. He was dropped 3 places, trapped in traffic, and left furious after finishing 5th. But the most shocking part of Hamilton's interview was not his anger. It was what his words revealed about Ferrari, because this was not a slow car losing a race. This was a winning opportunity disappearing in plain sight. And once you see the detail that changed everything, Hamilton's reaction makes perfect sense. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why Hamilton sounded so frustrated, we have to go back to Friday, because that was when Ferrari created the expectation that made everything that followed feel so painful. Hamilton finished first in the second practice session. Charles Leclerc finished second. Ferrari had locked out the top 2 positions, and for the first time that weekend, the possibility of something much bigger began to feel real. This was not one driver producing a lucky lap. Both Ferraris were fast. Both drivers looked comfortable. And the car appeared unusually calm through the slow and medium-speed corners that make the Hungaroring so difficult. That detail matters more than it seems. Hungary is a circuit where one small mistake can damage several corners in a row. The driver needs a car that responds immediately but never becomes nervous. Think of carrying a full glass of water through a crowded room. One sudden movement can ruin everything. Hamilton finally looked like he had a Ferrari he could trust. He could place the car where he wanted, attack the corners with confidence, and protect the tires without constantly fighting the steering wheel. That was the first warning to Ferrari's rivals. But it was also the first source of pressure inside Ferrari. Because when the car is slow, a difficult result can be explained. When the car is fast, every mistake becomes impossible to hide. Fred Vasseur admitted that Ferrari's competitiveness had surprised him. He believed the balance was good, but he also knew Friday could be misleading. Traffic had interrupted the session. A red flag had broken the rhythm. And nobody could be completely certain how the cars would perform over a full race distance. So Ferrari had speed, but it did not yet have certainty. And this is where the weekend became dangerous. The team had found a setup that appeared perfectly suited to Budapest. The car produced the grip Hamilton needed through the corners, and it seemed more stable than it had at many other circuits. But practice does not award points. A fast Friday only creates an opportunity. Saturday decides whether that opportunity survives. And at the Hungaroring, qualifying is not simply important. It can control the entire race. Overtaking is extremely difficult. A driver can be faster than the car ahead and still remain trapped for lap after lap. The air behind another car becomes disturbed. The front tires lose grip. The car begins to slide, and the driver uses more of the tires without moving forward. It is like standing in the fastest line at a supermarket, only to discover that nobody ahead of you is moving. You may have everything ready. You may be quicker, but you are still stuck. That meant Ferrari needed track position. Hamilton needed a clean qualifying session. And after what he had shown on Friday, starting near the front no longer felt like an ambitious dream. It felt like the minimum required to convert Ferrari's pace into something meaningful. But there was another layer that made the situation even more important. McLaren was still the benchmark Ferrari had to beat when the pressure increased. Ferrari could match the speed. The real question was whether it could match the execution. Could the team deliver the right lap at the right moment? Could Hamilton avoid traffic? Could Ferrari make every decision before McLaren took control? Those questions were still unanswered. And by the end of qualifying, one incident would turn Ferrari's strongest advantage into the very thing that trapped Hamilton for the entire race. Hamilton delivered the lap Ferrari needed. He was second fastest in qualifying, placing himself on the front row, exactly where a driver wants to be at the Hungaroring. From there, the race could have opened in front of him. Clean air. A direct view of the first corner. The freedom to attack, protect the tires, and force the cars behind to react. For a few moments, Ferrari had converted Friday's promise into something real. But that front row start did not survive. During the final part of qualifying, Oscar Piastri was beginning a fast lap when Hamilton was judged to have blocked the McLaren unnecessarily. The stewards investigated the incident. Then came the punishment, a 3-place grid penalty. Hamilton dropped from 2nd to 5th. It looked like a small movement on the starting order. Only 3 positions. But at this circuit, those 3 positions changed almost everything. 2nd place meant opportunity. 5th place meant traffic. 2nd place gave Hamilton control over his own race. 5th place placed that control in the hands of the cars around him. And this was not a penalty that could simply be erased with raw speed. The Hungaroring is narrow, demanding, and extremely difficult for overtaking. A driver can be faster, remain close, and still have no safe way past. That creates a cruel situation. The car ahead does not need to be quicker everywhere. It only needs to be difficult to pass in the right places. Hamilton's Ferrari could have stronger pace through the lap, but once he was trapped behind another car, that advantage became harder to use. The disturbed air damaged the grip at the front of his car. The tires began working harder. The temperature increased. And every lap spent following another driver reduced the freedom Ferrari had worked so hard to create. This is why the penalty was more than a punishment for qualifying. It was a strategic sentence for Sunday. Starting 2nd, Hamilton could have attacked the leader into the opening corner. Even if he remained behind, he would have been able to manage his tires in cleaner air and respond directly to the first pit stop. Starting 5th created several new problems at once. He had more cars between himself and the front. He had a greater chance of being delayed at the start. He had fewer clear spaces to stop into. That sounds like a tactical problem. Hamilton could protect his tires and hope for a cleaner opportunity later. But every extra lap gave the cars ahead more time to build a gap. Ferrari was caught between 2 uncomfortable choices. Move early and risk traffic. Wait and risk losing the fight completely. And this is where McLaren's presence became critical. McLaren did not need Ferrari to make a huge mistake. It only needed Ferrari to hesitate. When 2 teams have similar pace, the first decisive strategic move can control everything that follows. One team acts, the other reacts. And once a team becomes reactive, its options begin to shrink. Ferrari had entered the weekend with a car capable of putting pressure on McLaren. Now Ferrari was the team under pressure. That reversal happened before the race had even settled. Hamilton was still fast. Leclerc was still competitive. But the entire structure of the race had changed. The 2 Ferrari drivers were no longer attacking the front from equally strong positions. They were fighting separate battles inside the same race. Leclerc remained closer to the podium fight. Hamilton had to find a way through traffic while also protecting Ferrari's overall result. That creates another layer of tension inside a team. When both drivers are near each other, every strategic choice affects more than one car. An early stop for Hamilton could influence Leclerc's options. A delayed stop for Leclerc could change the traffic Hamilton faced. Even when the drivers are not directly fighting each other, their races are connected. Ferrari had to think about both cars, both tire lives, and every rival around them. And the field was extremely close. Vasseur had already recognized how small the margins were throughout the weekend. That meant Ferrari could not rely on a large performance advantage to repair the situation. There was no guarantee that Hamilton could simply wait, use his speed, and pass later. The car was competitive, but so were the cars around him. That distinction mattered. Being faster by a small amount can help in qualifying, where one perfect lap decides the order. In the race, that same small advantage may not be enough to overtake. The driver ahead can defend. The circuit can limit opportunities. And the following car can lose performance through dirty air. Hamilton's speed had placed him 2nd in qualifying. But starting 5th meant he needed more than speed. He needed the race to open. He needed a gap in traffic. He needed Ferrari's timing to be exact. And he needed the cars ahead to make mistakes of their own. That is a long list of conditions for a driver who had originally earned a place on the front row. The frustration was building, even if the final interview had not happened yet. Every lap offered another reminder of what the penalty had changed. The leaders had cleaner air. Hamilton had turbulence. The leaders could control their tires. Hamilton had to balance attack and survival. The leaders could shape the strategy. Ferrari had to search for a way back into the fight. But there was something even more painful. The Ferrari still looked competitive. Hamilton was not sitting inside a car that had suddenly lost all performance. He could feel that the speed was there. And that made the situation harder to accept. When a car is slow, the driver knows the limitation. There may be anger, but there is also clarity. The machine cannot deliver more. Hamilton's problem was the opposite. The machine could deliver more. The race would not allow him to use it. That difference changes the emotion completely. It turns disappointment into regret. It creates the feeling that the result is being lost, not because the goal was impossible, but because the path towards it had been blocked. This is what made Hungary feel so cruel for Ferrari. The team had spent Friday building confidence. Saturday had confirmed the pace. Sunday should have been the reward. Instead, Sunday became a long attempt to recover what had already been lost. And as the race developed, the podium began to move further away. Ferrari was not collapsing. The cars were still scoring strong points. Leclerc remained in the fight near the front. Hamilton was still positioned for a respectable finish. But respectable was no longer enough. Not after Hamilton had topped practice. Not after Ferrari had occupied the first 2 positions on Friday. Not after Hamilton had qualified second before the penalty. The standard had changed because Ferrari's own performance had changed it. That is the danger of showing potential. Once people see what is possible, they stop accepting less. Hamilton had seen what was possible from inside the cockpit. Vasseur had seen it from the pit wall. The engineers had seen it in the data. Ferrari had a car that worked at Budapest. But the result was slipping away through the narrow space between performance and execution. That space is where Formula One races are often decided. The car can be fast enough. The driver can be confident enough. The setup can be correct. But if the starting position is compromised, if the traffic arrives at the wrong moment, or if the strategy becomes reactive, the final result can look completely different from the real potential. Hamilton eventually crossed the line in 5th. Leclerc finished 4th. Ferrari placed both cars inside the top 5. For many teams, that would represent a strong afternoon. For Ferrari, after the promise of the weekend, it felt like an opportunity that had escaped. And this is where Hamilton's interview became so important. His frustration was not simply the reaction of a driver unhappy with 5th place. It carried the weight of the entire weekend. He had felt the car improve. He had seen Ferrari challenge at the front. He had earned a starting position that could have transformed the race. Then he watched every advantage become smaller. The penalty moved him backwards. Traffic reduced his freedom. The strategic battle became more difficult. And McLaren remained stronger when execution mattered most. That combination explains why the tone after the race felt so severe. Hamilton was not reacting to one bad lap. He was reacting to a chain of events. A chain that began with genuine hope, passed through one costly qualifying incident, and ended with Ferrari finishing just outside the podium. But even that does not reveal the deepest reason his reaction mattered. Because beneath the anger was a message about Ferrari's future. The car had finally given Hamilton a reason to expect more.